In this video, guys, I'm going to take you through some of your pre-CAS interview questions. You guys, I'm already feeling like a senior student. I mean, these busybody senior students used to do, like when they see junior students around school. That's what I feel like right now. So this is me just advising like the people who are coming really soon, giving you guys tips, because of course I am a senior student. Okay, so like this title implies, I'm just here to give you some tips on answering your pre-CAS interview questions. See, take your pre-CAS interview as your UKVI interview. Just assume in your head that you are speaking to the guys at the embassy, UKVI, because these days the way they call people for interview, it is very scary. Okay, so take your pre-CAS, take it as seriously as you would if you had like an interview with UKVI. Now, there are some reasons or many reasons why you could be called for an interview. Okay, they don't call everybody. It's not a standard procedure that everybody that applies for a student visa will be called for an interview, but of course there are exceptions, and here are some of the exceptions. Number one, you have a long study gap. Now, some people finish school like in 2015, and then suddenly in 2025 they want to come to do their master's. That's like 10 whole years. Some people finish in like 2010, and in 2026 they want to come and do their master's. That's like 16 years. So the UKVI will be wondering, like, where has this person been? Was this person living under the rock? How did you suddenly wake up from your BSc in 2010 and 2016 you want to now do your master? So it starts to raise eyebrow, and they're like, okay, you know what, come for an interview. Let us be sure that this person actually wants to come to study. Okay, now that's number one, long study gap. Another reason why you might be called for an interview is your proof of funds mismatch. Now, there are people that finish school like in 2025, they don't have any work experience, they've not done any official job to. So how come you have like 40M in your account? How did you have 50M in your account? The UKVI will be looking at you like, no, there's something fishy. Let's call this person for an interview. So what do I advise? If you finished school last year, like you finished school in 2025, your payslip has not shown that you've had like a lot of you've not had consistent income for a while, like 2 years, 3 years, and suddenly you have 50 million in your account. My best advice is to use your parents' account. Now, the UKVI allows you to use either your account or your parents' account, not your husband's account, not your boyfriend's account, not a relative, not an uncle. So you have to use either yours or a parent. Since you don't have work experience of going through the stress of having them to suspect you, call you for an interview, use your parents' account if you're just new and fresh out of school. Another reason they might call you is that your income is not substantive enough, like you've not made enough money to warrant or to justify that amount you have in your account. There are people who have been working but 30k, 40k, that's what they'll be paying them. And then mind you are going to submit, aside the proof of funds, you're going to submit like, well, it depends on what you submit. You either submit your references from your previous employers or your pay slip from your previous. So we get depending on what you submit. So for some people who would submit like their pay slip to show that, oh, within 2 years or within 1 year, these are the jobs I've done, these are my pay slips, as proof that's okay, money has been entering your account somehow. So if you submitted your pay slip and they are just seeing 30k every month, 40k every month, it also raises eyebrows as to how you move from having just 30k or 40k and suddenly you have 50M in your account. Again, I'm saying, if this is your case or this is your situation, put it in your parents' account so that when they ask you simple, who is funding your study, you just say your parents are funding your study. At least they know if you come, they argue with you. Now your papa get the money, okay? Your papa sell land to send it to the UK. So yeah, that is it. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let us talk about what am I saying? Let us go straight to the pre-CAS interview questions. What are the possible questions to expect when you sit for an interview or attend an interview? One of the first questions they will ask you is, what course have you chosen? Obviously, they can see it in your CAS, they can see it in your this thing, but of course, they'll ask you, what course have you chosen? So when you answer that, they'll ask you the modules, compulsory. They'll ask you the modules. So when you apply to a certain course, the first thing you should do is to go and check the modules for those courses. Check the first semester modules, check the second semester modules. Of course, you don't have to list out all of them. If there are 10 modules in a semester or 10 modules in the first and second semester, you don't have to list everything, but go and check the modules, check the component of these modules. They might go as far as asking you, okay, you say you're doing strategic communication. What is this about? So you explain, oh, strategic communication is about, of course, you need basic knowledge. They don't expect you to have expert knowledge because, of course, that's why you're applying. If you had all the knowledge about the course, you would not be doing a master's, okay? They don't expect you to have expert knowledge, but at least you have knowledge of that course you are going to study, and of course the module. Don't go there and be baby and be stuttering. They are gonna you get. So like I said, your pre-CAS interview is like your major interview, because the same questions they'll ask you for a pre-CAS interview, that's the same thing the UKVI would ask you. They'll also ask you, how will you be assessed? Some schools do exams, some do assignments, some do presentations, some do what's it called, work experience, what's it called, like internship, yeah, work experience. If I remember the name, I'll add it on the screen. You get. So they'll ask you how you'll be assessed. They want to be sure that aside knowing the module you're doing, aside knowing the course you're studying, you also know how you'll be assessed, so that not when you go there they say, we'll go do assignment, or you go say, I thought people don't used to do assignment, or they say we write exam, you say, I thought it's only assignment, I don't know that people used to do, So they'll ask you how you'll be assessed, and you have to answer that question, of course. So they ask you your choice of university. This is a very important question, and it's a very tricky question, because there are several, just like you have several universities in Nigeria, there are several universities in the UK. So they ask you, because to be honest, for instance, in Leeds, we have Leeds Trinity University, we have Leeds Beckett University, we have University of Leeds. These three universities are in Leeds, and if we are being honest, these three universities have similarities. Okay, now Leeds Beckett University is just beside the University of Leeds, and literally everything we do is really what they do. The difference is just maybe in school fees and one or two slight changes. They have almost the same facilities. I mean, you can access internet, you have laptops, you have desktop, you have a good library, you have lecturers that, basically the same resources you have in one university, that's almost the same resources you have in other university. Now they'll not ask you, why did you choose this university? It is now left for you to have a very creative answer as to why you chose the university. Is it in location? For instance, there's a university like in my school's case, for instance, Leeds is it's like a financial capital of the UK, aside London. So you have a lot of financial organizations here. Even a lot of PR agencies, for instance, exist in Leeds. Not just small PR, PR agencies that work with big brands, big multinational brands. Okay, so your location, you could tell them that you chose this particular place because of the location. Probably if you're a content creator, for instance, I chose this city because of the beautiful landscape, I want to do that alongside my course, or this would help me. Like, they have a lot of financial institutions, I want to intern in those institutions. You just give reasons why you chose that particular university. Okay, show like their competitive edge over others. Why did I choose Leeds Beckett University instead of University of Leeds? Why did I choose University of Leeds instead of Leeds Trinity University? Give specific reasons as it applies to you. Don't give generic reasons, okay? Don't say, don't basically give generic reasons. It has to apply to you. In my case, there are a lot of PR agencies in Leeds, so I could easily say, because of these agencies in Leeds, I don't have to travel to other cities to assess internships and opportunities. So I get to assess all of those things right there. And of course, Leeds is a very bustling city with different universities. Aside these three universities, there are different colleges, there are also different institutions. So you get to network with people, students from all around the world. These are also some of the reasons. Like I said, customize your answer to your present situation. Do not give a generic answer. Another similar question they'll ask you is, why did you choose the UK? Now, these people are really tricky, because they know that, yes, so people want to Japan, but at least you have to hype the UK. This question is basically targeted at you, hyping the UK and telling them why the UK has good schools, how the quality of education is top notch, how the UK has one of the best education in the world. This is what they want to hear. Hype the UK. Why did you choose the UK over the US? Why did you choose the UK over Canada, over Poland, over Venezuela, over Saudi Arabia? Why the UK? So that's why I said you have to choose a particular. It doesn't have to be so many reasons. It could be for you language. If language is the only thing, try and justify it, because you could say, the language is important. I'm an English speaker and I do not want to go to a French speaking country, a Spanish speaking country. You get, that's also permissible. Okay. Another question they'll ask you is your school's address. Some people apply to school, they don't know the address. They don't know where the school is. They just want to apply and ahead. So check your school address. Check some of the facilities that are unique to you. Okay, there are some schools that have facilities that are unique to them. Like Is there any facility unique to Leeds Beckett University? Well, we have a couple of very unique activities we do, like collaborate with sports team. Like our sports team at Leeds Beckett University is very strong. So if you're a sports person, that could also be your argument point. You could say, oh, I'm a sports person, I'm a good tennis player, I want to join I heard they have a vibrant sports group, sports complex, I want to join, it's also a talking point. But make sure you've made research about the school, when the school was founded, the location of this school, the unique selling point of this school, basic information about the school's vice chancellor. By the way, I don't know the name of my vice chancellor. It's embarrassing, but I don't know my vice chancellor's name. After this video, I'm gonna check what's the name of Leeds Beckett University vice chancellor. Embarrassing, right? But do all of those background checks because it is very important, okay? So after asking you why the school, why the course, another question they will ask you is, why did you choose your course? Now, for some of us, what we did in our first degree is quite different from what we want to do in our master. In fact, for most of us, not even some, at this point, people did courses they do not like or they do not really understand in their first degree, and in their masters, they want to switch and they want to, like correct that mistake. So they would ask you, why did you choose this course? Now, mind you, because you had a switch, some people moved from science to arts during master, some people moved from art to science, basically had a switch, a major shift. Like what they did in their first degree was very different from what they did in their second degree. So when they ask you, why did you choose your course? For some people, it now becomes really difficult to try to link it that, okay, I chose the course because, you get. But regardless of what you studied in your first degree, there is always a link between the first degree and the second degree, regardless. So even if you did arts in your first degree and automatically you're switching to science, there's always a link. So you have to look for that link and marry them together. For me, I studied English language and literature, of course, and I'm studying public relations and strategic communication. Of course, these things are related. For you to do PR, you have to communicate, you have to write, you have to make videos, you have to basically, English language is about communication and communicating the right way. Public relations is also communicating the right way, because once you are misunderstood, it becomes a disaster. So basically, both courses seem unrelated, but in reality, they are related. So that's one thing you do when they ask you, why did you choose this course? And then ask you, of course, how is it related to what did you study in there are also similar question, what did you study in your undergraduate? How is it related to what you're doing in masters? Even if they are very different, like I said, find a meeting point between both of them and marry them. All courses are related. All courses, quote me wrong, all courses on the face of this earth are totally related. Find that relationship and link them, okay? They're not going to kill you. They're not going to kill you, say you don't live English language, you won't come, they do nothing for the UK. It's still, you can still justify that, okay? So they'll also ask you about the living cost. It's also important to know the living cost of that city, because they've had a lot of instances where people come and say, suddenly they come to the UK and they are stranded. How are you stranded if you have proof of funds now? Like, you get, so they want to be sure that, oh, you know the living cost, you know that you have to have a certain amount in your account every month. You know that, Ari? Okay, how much is it? You have to mention that, because some people come and suddenly they're like, oh, things are too expensive in the UK. Hey, I cannot afford accommodation. But you did see all of those things and you agreed and you were going to come, okay? So even if you complain, you're on your own, they need to be sure that you know that this place you are going to, this is the amount you ought to have, okay? Also, another mistake you shouldn't make is, they'll ask you this question, what are your plans after studies? This is a trap. This is what? A trap. So if they ask you, what are your plans after studies? Of course you have plans after studies. That plan does not include staying back in the UK. Let me not laugh. See, this question is a trap. What are your plans after studies? Oh, you plan to return to Nigeria to use that knowledge you got in the UK to better your country. That's your answer. Staying back and searching for COS is not part of the answer. Staying back and looking for a British person to marry is not part of the answer. Looking for another visa that you renew and just stay back in the UK is not part of the answer. The answer to that question is you are going back to your country. Because truth is, when you come here on a student visa, the standard procedure, what they expect from international students is that they study and then they go back. Because the UK has a migration problem. Like, they vex for us. They don't want immigrants at this point. They don't want us anymore. So when you tell them that you are going to stay back, you're going to stay back and look for a job and then work in the UK, in their mind, they're like, we already have enough people. We already have enough people, okay? So when you are asked that question, please try as much as possible to say that away, don't away. Okay, so it doesn't hurt. Just tell them you're going back. If you know, can't go back. That's your business. They also ask you, how would you fund your studies? So this question will also depend on however your proof of fund is. So if it's in your name, of course, self-funded. If it's in your parents' name, of course, my parents are funding it. If you say it is self-funded, be sure that money is in your account. It's not that it's in your parents' account. You can't say it's self-funded. That means you're contradicting yourself. Okay, so if your money is not going to be in your account, of course your parents are, which is totally fine. So they'll ask you how you're going to fund your studies, and you give them the right answer. They also ask about your accommodation. Where would you stay? Have you booked your accommodation? Most of the time, people start booking their accommodation only after their visa is out. And I don't blame them. How can you put the cat before the horse? I mean, the horse before, you know how they say it in English, okay? You always will start sorting out your accommodation only after your visa is out, because that's when you're sure that, oh, I'm coming to the UK, okay. But then, of course, they're going to ask about your accommodation. So two things. If you have a friend or a relative already in the UK, oh, you could say, I'll stay with my relative for 1 month. I'll stay with my relative or brother, sister for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. That's what you tell them. But if you do not have a close relative or a brother, a sibling, whatever you're staying with, you tell them that you're already making plans. You tell them about the websites you visited, and you plan to book an accommodation as soon as possible. Of course, you don't have a visa, and they don't expect you to say, oh, I've already booked my accommodation. So you just tell them, just show knowledge that you know what you are doing. Oh, I contacted Amber and I'm in talks with them about accommodation. Basically, just tell them that, oh, you are in talks with certain agents. You could mention 3 agents just to show that actually you are, making research. Okay, so that is totally fine. Now, let me share one hack. One very, very important hack I know that would be beneficial to you, okay? ChatGPT is the game changer with these pre-CAS interviews and many more other, everybody knows AI. ChatGPT is all, like, at this point, people just input like the questions and ChatGPT gives them answers. So now let me tell you something about using ChatGPT. So when I did my pre-CAS interview, I didn't get to use ChatGPT. I manually researched my questions, possible questions. I did all of that. I went to my school's website. I checked my modules myself. I did all of that myself, okay? Now, the thing with ChatGPT is that you should use ChatGPT. My lecturers will always say ChatGPT should be an intern. Don't use ChatGPT as a lecturer or someone who is knowledgeable enough. ChatGPT should be your intern. What do I mean? ChatGPT should not give you actual answers. Use prompts in a way that you prompt. Okay, hold on. Let me show you some of the prompt I already did earlier. Okay, let me show you what I did, so you just have a glimpse of what I'm going to explain. After that, I'm going to come back to explain what I really mean. So this is what I was explaining. So this is the prompt I used. I have just applied for a student visa and I've been invited for an interview. One of the possible questions is, how does this course link to your previous study or work experience? How do I approach this question? So now this is the response ChatGPT will give me. It says that's a good question and it's one of the talks. Yeah, so ChatGPT starts to give suggestions. It says, number 1, I should start with my previous study or work. Of course, I have to talk about my undergrad and some of the jobs I have done. Then it gives me an example. Another approach, it says, explain the link to your new course, just like what I said. So your previous course, yes. And then how does it link to your new course? You have to explain. It also gives me another example. It has to show the progression or purpose. Why did I choose this new course? And then number 4, it says it's optional. Mention the gap or shift, if any. So if you were doing science and then moved to art, you can now mention here that, oh, I left science for art, or I left art for science, and then you add reasons. Okay, so it says, if you tell me your course name, previous study, work background, I can help you craft a short, customized answer you can practice for your interview. Now, mind you, I made a generic inquiry. I didn't call a particular course, but now I would now mention the course I am proposing to study, and then of course my present work experience. Yeah, so I say, okay, I plan to study public relations and strategic communication. However, I studied English and literature in undergrad. I have experience in blah blah blah. What was I saying? I have a work experience in freelance writing, news writing and reporting, customer service. What else? Type fast now. And content creation. Yeah, so it starts to give me so it says I should start with here's how you can approach. Start with your academic background. Yes, of course, your undergrad academic background, then connect your work experience. So all of the things I mentioned, writing, content, how does it relate to public relations? Now explain how the new course is the new what? I didn't get that. Number 4, tie it to your career goals. What are your goals for the future? So yeah, that's basically it. Is it? Yeah, that's all. Yeah, basically this is just a rundown of kind of answers they're expected from you. So, like I said, don't try to copy or just ask random questions or just ask for questions and expect direct answers. No, it's not good like that. So, from what I showed you, ChatGPT shouldn't be the one to tell you answers. Use it as a guide, as an inspiration to whatever you are doing. Okay. So some people will just go and type, what is the unique selling point of Leeds Beckett University? Why is Leeds Beckett University most chosen by students? ChatGPT will give you a rundown of generic answers. Okay, mind you, you're not the only one called for that interview, and so many other people will use ChatGPT and probably type the similar questions and trust ChatGPT to give similar answers. But then when you use prompts that suggest asking ChatGPT what are the possible answers, like how do I approach this answer, not the answer to this question. Like at this point you're not interested in the answer, but let ChatGPT tell you how you would approach this as, like, what is expected of you. That's a more important prompt to ask ChatGPT instead of asking for answers. Let them know. Let ChatGPT tell you what is expected of you. So it could tell you, talk about the facilities, talk about the environment. So you now do your Google research on this talking point ChatGPT gives you. Like I said, they might, maybe out of 100,000 people, they might invite a thousand people to come for interviews. So if that 1,000 people go to ChatGPT to ask similar questions, rest assured 1,000 of you will come to that interview setting and answer the same questions, and they are looking at you like, I don't understand. These guys just go to ChatGPT to generate answers. So again, do not use ChatGPT for answers. Just use it as an inspiration and then do your proper research before answering. ChatGPT is also wrong in some cases. In 80% of the cases, shockingly, yep. In most of the cases, ChatGPT is wrong. So don't depend solely on ChatGPT. Another thing you should do is use ChatGPT. If you must use ChatGPT 5, use ChatGPT 5. Don't want to use free version. You want to use God. Nigerians love free things. The particular one I showed you, that this particular screenshot I showed you, is ChatGPT 5, the paid version. If you must use ChatGPT, people of God, I feel it down if you want. I feel it down if you want. Use ChatGPT 5. Use the paid version. It is more advanced. It will give you more. It has more correct answers. You can tweak your prompts, and it will give you more, like, expanded and more intelligent answers than ChatGPT 4. At least for the sake of this interview, pay someone and buy this ChatGPT, or you buy it directly from them. I don't know how you guys do it, but use a ChatGPT 5 because it is more advanced and it will give you more correct answers. Okay, so this is my tip. I said, okay, let me share with you so that you know we'll go there and go and maze up. Okay, like I said, the pre-CAS interview, the same questions, expect the same questions. Okay, don't go there stuttering. Go there with so much confidence, especially if you have a long study gap or you don't have enough money already. That fear, especially when they invite you for interview, everybody will be scared. I mean, why did they call me? But even with that fear, just go there and do your thing confidently. Okay, so this is what I just said. Let me share with you all. As a senior, you carry out as a senior student. Okay, so go there, break a leg, and then come back in this video or in any video to give your testimony. I'm not praying that you'll be called for a UKVI interview, but if it's just for pre-CAS, these are some of the questions. These are what to expect. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Please like and subscribe. How can I even forget? Please like this video and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. To this.